Hi guys, I can't believe it's already the last week of this class. I've learned a lot through this class. When I first signed up for this class, I was dreading it, and I can't believe how far I've grown with my public speaking skills. And now I could say I'm not as nervous as from the first speech to now. So, first off, we're going to go over all the way back from week 1 what we first learned movement. Why should we move? Well, like I said in the earlier videos in this semester, it can increase our variety, it can grab an audience's attention. The things that can go wrong with movement can be distracting, feels unnatural toward the audience, stuff like that. How should I move? 3 considerations is speech, style, and situation. Another thing that we learned first off was eye contact. How should we give eye contact? Well, most people look at their flashcards like this and rarely give eye contact toward their audience. Well, I've learned a lot and I've grown with my eye contact skills throughout this class by just glancing at my flashcards rather than just putting them in front of my face and distracting my audience and not giving them my full undivided attention. Next, I'm going to go over SOLAR. What do you think? Remember the SOLAR stance? Well, it stands for square, open, lean, eye contact, and relax. I learned a lot about this, and I practice this SOLAR stance a lot of times in my speeches, as I did a movement square around the classroom while I was trying to speak and attempting to do that stance throughout all my speeches during this class. The next one I'm going to talk about is how to verbally cite sources. Coming into this class, I had no idea how to verbally cite my sources. I thought just saying the author, but I learned a lot through Eric by introducing the article, the author name, their credibility, and the direct quote, rather than just saying the direct quote and my audience not knowing what I'm trying to tell them about how I'm going to back up my sources. So he said, why do we do this? Just to give credibility to the speaker and clarity to our sources. Just like I said before, what to include. The author name, the credibility, type of work, date published, title and work of the source, any source details. And I also learned an important tool is to practice my speech. Going into this class, I didn't really practice. I kind of just winged it before I was going to give up public speaking. In my past semester, I had to do an English presentation, and I didn't really think about it until the night before, and I just stressed out about it. I didn't practice, and I just kept looking at my flashcards the whole time, which really distracted my audience. So I've learned throughout this class is to practice. Practice multiple times, whether that's in front of your family, your friends, even your dogs if you don't have any friends like Eric said in the videos. Just to practice, and then you'll feel more comfortable going into that speech in front of the class. Just like I said, how to practice out loud. I struggle with this practicing out loud because I just practice it to myself, just read off my flashcards in my head, which isn't really practicing because I'm not projecting my voice like I am now and practicing what I'm going to say toward my audience. The next thing I'm going to go over is using notes during the speech. I struggled with this at the beginning. The first speech was my speaking mentor speech, and as you guys noticed, I was looking at my flashcards the whole time. I wasn't giving full eye contact toward my audience, and I was getting distracted from my visual and my flashcards. And before this class, I would always write sentences down because I was nervous I was going to forget them. But as this class progressed, I learned to use keywords on my flashcards and use 8 to 10 of those keywords on a flashcard. And don't put the words on the lines, rather put it on the blank side in big enough font so you can actually see what you're trying to say, and you can just glance down rather than just reading it off your note card and not giving that eye contact toward your audience. The next thing I'm going to talk about is how to speak so people want you to listen to you during your speech. This was a couple weeks ago in a video they watched of a TED Talk, and the author discussed 7 deadly sins of speaking. First one is gossip. Speaking on somebody who isn't present, speaking behind their back, sort of thing. The second one is judging. Judging how people act, how people, very hard to, I'm sorry. Third one is negativity, complaining, viral misery. Just complaining toward your speech. Nobody wants to hear you're complaining about whether that's a celebrity, your mom, your dad. No one wants to hear that during your speech. So that's another thing to avoid. Excuses. You don't really take responsibility for your actions. You blame someone else, but it's actually on you. You blame someone else and you're not taking ownership of your own actions. And things to avoid. And these are all things to avoid. The next thing I'm going to go over is a couple weeks after that. I learned in the video 6 shortcuts that guide human behavior. The first one is reciprocity, giving back to others, giving a gift. Say you give a birthday gift to someone, you expect them to reciprocate that back to you. Scarcity, unique, stand to lose. And then third one is authority, your credibility towards someone. You're certified, such as a doctor looking at someone's skin. They're a dermatologist. They got their degree in dermatology. The fourth one is consistency, someone that commits to something, such as supports for a driving campaign over a period of time. Liking, they prefer to say yes. And then the last one is consensus. Action of your behavior is drawing attention toward yourself. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is, hold on. The 2 types. The 3 needs for advertisers. The first one is system needs, mental shortcuts like the fight or flight response. The third one is social needs. We look to others, seeking guidance more than ever. And then self needs, strive to be our best. For the future, ads use worry-free techniques. So I'm just going to go over the things that I discussed today. So first I went way back in the first week of this semester and went over proper eye contact toward your audience, just to give that full undivided attention to your audience, and don't look at those flashcards too long because it can draw attention to yourself in a bad way during your speech. Movement, the solar stance, I try to implement that in every one of my speeches throughout this semester. Like Eric said, just moving back and forth can decrease your anxiety during your speech and just make you feel more enthusiastic and upbeat toward your audience. And then I went over the solar stance like I just discussed. Using your note cards during your speech, writing those keywords rather than those sentences like I discussed earlier in the video. And then the last thing I discussed was system needs, social needs, and self needs. These are all 3 needs of advertisers. Throughout this semester, I've learned a lot. I think I've grown a lot throughout this class through my public speaking skills, and I feel a lot more comfortable with all the things that I learned throughout this semester. Going into the next 2 semesters of my sophomore year of college, I think that I can feel more confident in my public speaking, use those hand gestures, use those eye contact, that movement, solar stance, in all my speeches, and I think I can be very successful in my future and throughout the next 3 years of college. Thank you.